Welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be going over installing Cadillac ATS Brembos onto a C5 Corvette. Here you can see we're going to be using some C6 Z06 front rotors. First thing you're going to want to do is get your car jacked up. Corvettes are a little tricky to jack up, so what I like to do is drive mine up on a couple of 2x4s. I can then get my jack under the front subframe. Once I get it up to height, I like to add my jack stands, one on each side of the subframe. And to me, this seems like a really great spot for the jacks and jack stand. It makes it really stable. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and pull your wheels off. My lug nuts are a 19mm. Now we can see the old setup on the car. I'm running a 5mm spacer. I put that on just to get a little bit more flush fitment with the front wheels. Next up, what we're going to do is go ahead and remove the brake caliper. So this is a 21mm socket. The top bolt I was actually able to zip out with my impact gun, but the bottom bolt I had to use a ratchet. Once you get these removed, go ahead and leave the line connected and just hang them up out of the way for now. Also, I think it's important to add that if you plan on doing this brake swap, you have to run a minimum of 18-inch diameter wheels in the front, and depending on the offset, you might actually need to run a spacer as well. Alright, so we're doing a little comparison here. You can see how much bigger these rotors are. The factory brakes on the C5 are pretty good, but these Brembos are 14 inches and they are 4-puck system, which the OEM brakes are only a 2-puck system. So here you can see the knuckle, the hub, everything's exposed. I went ahead and cleaned this area up with some brake cleaner just because I don't usually have it this far torn apart to clean anything. And it's always nice to work on something that's not full of brake dust. So just spray it down with some brake cleaner, give it a good wipe with a rag. It doesn't hurt to try to spruce things up whenever you take them apart. Alright, so right here is the first time I was actually able to test fit the C6 Z06 rotors, and they do fit. Same lug pattern, so they slid right on. What I'm doing here is I'm just using my lugs to hold the rotor in place, and that way I can work on it in the exact position it's supposed to be in. Got the new brakes on. I gotta put the pads in, but they seem to fit. Cadillac ATS-V brakes on a C5. I had to use these washers to space out the caliper a little bit so that way it doesn't contact with the rotor. But so far, so good. Spins freely, and I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is probably going to put the pads in. They go in through the top here with some retaining clips and pins. And then after I do that, what I'm going to do is I'll probably try to figure out how to take the brake line off of this kind of quickly and transfer it over to this. That way I don't leak a bunch of fluid everywhere. And then switch over to the other side, get it all done, and then I'll bleed the system. Alright guys, so a couple of tips I wanted to add. whenever you're doing this brake swap, you're going to want to keep the bolts from the Cadillac. They're a little bit longer than the C5, so whenever you're spacing out the caliper, you don't run short on threads. Also, I want to add, it's super important to squeeze the pucks as tight as you can on the calipers to try to get as much brake fluid out as possible. Especially if you're going to be repainting the calipers, you don't want any brake fluid on them. Also, when it comes time to install your pads, there's really tight clearance, so you need those pucks to be all the way depressed. That way you can install those pads with ease. So what you're going to want to do is grease up the backs of the pads, install the little clips that come with them, grease those up a little bit too, and then slide the pads in through the top. You add your top pin, and then you add the clip, and then you push the clip down and you add the bottom pin. Once you get them slid through, you use a little hammer and kind of tap them into place, and that's that. While you have this all pulling apart, it's very important to upgrade to a stainless steel brake line. It's going to give you a much better pedal feel. Now, I didn't get any footage of me bleeding the brakes, but if any of you have ever bled brakes, it's not very exciting. Here I've got the car all back together. I went for a little drive, bed the brakes in, tested them out. They were working beautifully. If any of you have any questions, be sure to leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to respond. I appreciate you watching, and be sure to tune in for the next one.